Hi, folks. Welcome to our New Politics Academy August Lunch and Learn. We are really pleased that you have joined us today. Um, Please feel free to munch on your lunch while you get this great information. We are bringing it to you live with not one, but two folks here today who are going to share so much great information about security. My name is Lucy Arthur Peratley. I'm the Director of Programs here at New Politics Academy. I've gotten to meet some of you over the years, but if I haven't gotten to meet you yet, I'm so pleased that you have joined us again today to learn and to continue your journey of service through politics by getting a little bit more information about how to stay safe in the campaign world today. It's such a vital topic, and we're really pleased to bring you this information today in partnership. So I don't want to take too much time with introductions, but I do want to just plug a couple of things that are coming your way soon. So for those of you who are answering the call alumni, be on the lookout because the next round of answering the call is coming shortly. And we're going to be looking for nominations as always to that program. We're also going to be opening up applications for our next round of Finance Director Boot Camp in September. So both of those are coming your way shortly, and we always appreciate nominations from our excellent alumni community as we get this going. Um, with that, I won't waste any more of our time here at the front end because we've got these two excellent presenters who are up and ready to go. We are joined today by Defending Digital Campaigns. Michael and Betty are both here to share their expertise. They are leaders in this field, and they have a ton of great suggestions for you today as you think about navigating security digitally on campaigns and in your life in this moment. So I'm going to hand the mic over to them and want to just encourage you all to ask questions throughout, and they'll do their best to answer questions during and after they're done with their presentation. We'll have some more time for questions. So please bring the questions on. And with that, over to Michael and Betty. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lucy. Really thrilled to be here. I'm Michael Kaiser, and I'm the president and CEO of Defending Digital Campaigns. And I'm joined by Betty. Introduce yourself.
Thanks, Michael. I'm Betty, and I am the Director of Support and Onboarding at DDC.
So we'll be doing a little tag team work here as we present today. It's a little talking to you, a little showing you some stuff. As Lucy said, we love questions. Sometimes people really have very, questions about security, about what they should do, and we're really open to trying to answer as many of those as possible. Let me tell you a little bit about DDC. We're a nonpartisan, non-aligned organization. We're a 501(c)(4), but we behave like a C3. And that is like literally in the FEC advisory opinion that allowed us to be formed. So what the FEC did, in a bipartisan way, we were formed by a couple of former presidential campaign managers like Robbie Mook, who you may have heard of, or Matt Rhodes, who was Mitt Romney's campaign manager, who came together at some work they had done, and basically said campaigns need security. They'll never pay for security, so we should figure out a way to get them free security. And what they did was they went to the Federal Election Commission and said, this is a national security issue. We think campaigns should be able to accept donations of cybersecurity products. And the FEC agreed. And so that allowed us to start our work working with federal campaigns, and we can do this now in Georgia, Michigan, Ohio, and Virginia. But what we do, which is something extraordinary, is we have an exception to the campaign finance laws. And that allows us to give these products to campaigns, and they do not need to be reported as contributions. So that is unusual, to say the least. And we try to take advantage of that and give away as much stuff as we can. We've served more than 800 campaigns and given away more than $11 million in products. So today, though, knowing this audience, we're going to talk. Yeah, there are products that we can give away to people who are eligible. If you're in those stages, you're running for the federal office, let us know. But even more importantly to know is there is so much stuff that you can do just straight out for free. And that's really where our focus is going to be today, is about doing the stuff that's out there that most people aren't taking advantage of right now. So in cybersecurity, there's a lot of things that could possibly happen, right? You're running an enterprise. There's all these different kinds of things that can happen. There's, things that you have to do. And cybersecurity at its heart, at its core, is about risk management. And, risk management is about identifying the things that, may happen or could happen or, those kinds of things. And that's what cybersecurity is about. It's about risk management. So I like to think about this for this sector as thinking about not what could happen, but what actually might happen, right? Because those are the things that you need to protect against. So the number one thing that might happen and is the biggest attack that's currently always been out there on the internet is somebody trying to get into your account, stealing credentials to get into your account. That is the most common way that anybody, but political campaigns and individuals get compromised. Website defacements, website takedowns. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a second. Websites are highly targeted in the political space. And then money stolen. That happens from campaigns. We've seen that. And we've all heard of phishing, right? Like everybody gets phished, and that's where some of this credential stealing happens. But we always have to remind people of that. And then mistakes. And mistakes, as they say, will be made. This is pretty common. Somebody attaches a spreadsheet to an email, they autofill the name of someone, didn't look, press send, off it goes with all this PII about, personal identifying information of people like donors or other things or opposition research, which you didn't mean to send out, to a reporter, those kinds of things. So mistakes happen too. So we just have to remember that not everything is some, nefarious activity out there on the web, but there is a lot of nefarious activity that you do need to pay attention to. So that's what the might happen. But then the next issue is who is doing this stuff, right? So we obviously have cyber criminals out there. They're trying to monetize crime on the internet. And, big surprise, American politics equals money, right? Like all over the world, people probably know that there's money in American politics. Well, why do you rob a bank? Because that's where the money is. So there have been a lot of phishing scams that have led to money being stolen. There was, a very big one in a Kansas Senate race. There have been some others that we know about. So this does happen, and this is where, what actually, as a consumer, we all face these folks, right? Cyber criminals is what we worry about. We worry about our credit card being stolen, right? Getting into our accounts, those kinds of things, getting into our bank accounts. Of course, we have nation states here. They're looking to disrupt our democracy, possibly, right? Maybe they're going to interfere in the results. That's the thing that gets the big headline, right? But nation states also, conduct espionage, right? So you have nation states who are opposed to, don't want our democracy to succeed, basically. That is a bad look for them, right? It's a good look when America's not doing well from a democratic, democracy point of view. So they might want to, exploit that or make it worse. And then there's espionage, right? And you think, well, wait, what about espionage? Well, everybody does espionage. And why would they do espionage? Well, it could be a lot of things. It could be, that you're a rising star and now they just want to have you on their radar to know what you think. It could be, for example, that country is thinking about building a factory in your state, right? And they're wondering like, well, what does Michael think about my country? And what does he think about building factories from, right? And they just want to know, right? So, and intelligence is about information gathering. So that's what they're doing. And then we have hacktivists in this space, right? We have people on all sides or no side, right? Non-aligned, who are opposed to any number of things or seeking social justice or want to disrupt in other kinds of ways. And that could be an individual or a group of individuals who are aligned around an idea, but they're out there and they do attacks. They try to embarrass people, those kinds of things. But here's the real takeaway that I want you to have from this little discussion here, which is that if you are in the political sector, if you're a candidate, your friends, your families, the staff and volunteers on your campaign, and your vendors are what we, and when I say we, I don't mean DDC, I mean Google, Microsoft, Meta, DDC, Cloudflare, all these technology companies see you as some of the highest risk technology users on the planet. You are a high risk user. because of that row of bad actors that come after you, because of the stakes that are involved in the work that you're doing, they consider you high risk users. So you need to kind of own that you're a high risk computer user, you and journalists, two highest risk technology users on the planet, and you need to act based on that. So quickly, I know people are in different stages here of campaigning. Maybe some of you are already active, maybe some of you are thinking about it. But these are the three protection areas that I'll talk about, and we'll give you some demos on. And these are what we consider the core protections, right? Protecting your accounts, protecting your website, and protecting your email. We'll talk about these a little bit. So if we were all in a room together, I'd be asking you, hey, how many of you have heard the phrase MFA, multi-factor authentication? And everybody would raise their hand because you all have heard of it. It's been drilled into your head. But if I asked you to dig a little more deeply, what is MFA? Would you be able to explain to me what the factors in multi-factor authentication are? So just quickly, the factors are something you know, a password is a factor, an SMS text is a factor. I send you a code, you put it in, you know that code. It's something you have, a passkey or a security key. I'll talk about those a little bit in a second, and we'll give you a demo on a passkey in a moment. A device is a factor. It's identifying, and they're unique. They have unique identifiers in them. So your phone, your laptop, or something that you are. Many of you probably facial scan into an iPhone, maybe touch a button on your computer to get in. These are something that you are, and these are factors. But not all factors are created equal when it comes to authentication. And because what did I say was the highest risk? People trying to steal your credentials and people trying to get in your accounts. The number one thing you have to do, if you don't do anything else, you must use the strongest form of authentication that's out there. So, not surprised, passwords are not secure. They can be hacked, they can be guessed, they can be cracked. SMS, text, voice, not good anymore. People can get in between your device and you. If I hack your website, sorry, your email, and then go to an account and they say, I forgot my email. And they're like, oh, well, we're going to send you a 5-digit code to your email. Like, there's no protection, right? Backup codes you may have in some instances. Many of you are probably using some kind of authenticator app, Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Authy. These send you a one-time temporary password, usually to your phone, that you can then input. Not bad, pretty good, but not great, not the best. And then mobile push, which you kind of has been around for a while, but is being implemented a little more robustly now, which is I go on my laptop to log into a device to a service, and then it's go to your phone and open the app, and you open the app and it says, are you trying to log into your account? And you say yes or no. So that's actually pretty good because again, I've logged into my phone, maybe with my face, something who I am. No, I've opened an app on that phone and that knows that that phone is connected to your website service that you're trying to log into. But the strongest form of authentication and the one that you all need to do are security keys, which are physical devices which plug into a computer, which you touch at certain moments to get into your accounts and passkeys, which are relatively new, but they are the absolute strongest form of authentication out there, and you need to use them wherever they are available. And they are free, they are a digital credential, they are encrypted, they reside on a device. And so when you, again, I turn on my computer, I touch the button on my computer, I'm into my, system. I go to log into a website and it lets me in without a password because it can see that I've logged into my computer. Have a resident passkey residing on my device and it lets me in without a password. It is passwordless entry into services, and at the same time, it is the strongest authentication possible. Passkeys can't be stolen, they can't be copied, and they are basically phish resistant, right? So that's why they're so strong. So just quickly here, just to sum this up, the first thing you're going to do is use the strongest form of authentications available. You're going to turn on Google's Advanced Protection Program if you're a Google user. That's what Betty's going to show you in a second. Microsoft has something called Account Guard. And then you're going to take that credential with you. And when you see sign in with Google or sign in with Microsoft or sign in with Apple, Apple's a really great implementation of the passkey. You're going to do that because now you've taken that strong authentication with you. So Betty, take it away.
Thanks, Michael. So yes, I am going to show you how to turn on Google Advanced Protection Program with your passkey. So just sent a request to, okay, share the screen.
Do you need me to stop sharing?
Um, no, it's working. Okay, thank you. Um, so yeah, so you can start. Can everyone see this okay? Okay, great. Thank you. So, the best way to get to Google Advanced Protection Program is actually to Google Advanced Protection Program. Right now, that's the best way to get to the landing page. So, I am going to Google that and I will click on the first link there. And then I will click this blue Get Started button in the top right and then enter my credentials. And then it is asking me to create at least one passkey or security key. So that is what Michael was just talking about, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'll click Create Passkey. I'll click Create Passkey again. Continue. And for this part, you just want to follow whatever's on screen. It's going to be different depending on what device you have. For me, the way that I'm creating a passkey on this computer is to touch a designated spot on my computer. So I'm going to do that as instructed. It might be different for you. It might ask you to use your smartphone to scan a QR code, or it might be facial biometrics. But just follow whatever it says. It's extremely intuitive. And then I will click done. So it is as easy as that. And then here I will click enroll in advanced protection. It's going to remind you that you might want to add a recovery phone or recovery email. That's something that's definitely important to do when, especially once you've set this up, just because you have that extra form of security. So you want to make sure that you don't get locked out. So that is Advanced Protection Program. And back to you, Michael.
Right. So, the other thing I talked about as a core protection was websites. So I don't know where you all, oops, let me put my camera back on here. Um, I don't know where you all, oops, I don't know why I can't find my little camera. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Sometimes things show up, sometimes they don't. I don't know where all you are in the stages of, developing a website for your campaign, or maybe you're in an organization or whatever, but sorry. Somehow I got ahead of myself here. I don't know how that happened. Oops. I apologize. Here we go. So websites, as I said, are targets. Most common attack on a website is what's called a DDoS attack, a distributed denial of service attack. It's pretty simply just a flood the zone. They get a bot of a bunch of infected computers. They drive all those computers towards a domain, a web address, and so many requests for service comes in that the website can't even open, that no one can get on it. Unfortunately, these attacks are fairly easy to launch, doesn't require a lot of sophistication, and we saw a lot of them actually in 2024, quite a number. Some state parties were hit. Georgia was hit, not surprisingly, on the last day available to register as a voter in the state of Georgia. They were able to overcome it and nothing happened, but you can see how the bad actors think when they want to interfere. The certain key moments, the closer we get to election day, the higher the risk is for some of these things. We saw a lot of third parties get attacked, vendors get attacked because if they could deny access to donation processing website at a critical moment in the campaign, that would have a pretty big impact on our process, right? So the good news is for all of you, there are two free tools that you can get. Google's Project Shield, which is a free tool for high-risk users like you and other organizations, news organizations, you can apply for, very easy to do. And on at the end, I'll show you how to get all this information. And Cloudflare is a web protection company, the biggest one in the world, and they will protect for free from DDoS any website on the planet. So they have a freemium product for anybody. We have a higher level, business level product for people that are eligible for our free services. So that's great. You can get free protection. You can also, if you build your website on on something like Squarespace, that comes with a really robust DDoS protection as well. So web campaign websites are not that complicated as websites go. And so building behind one of those walls is a really great way to do it. Now, protecting your email is a little more complicated, and we're not going to go in a huge amount about this, but when you get ready to really start reaching out to people, if you are a bulk sender, which means at any one moment you ever send more than 5,000 emails, you will be required, and you should do it anyway, even if you're not a bulk sender, to have DMARC protection. And DMARC protection does two things. One, it protects your domain, michaelfortowncouncil.com, from anybody else using that domain to send emails. So someone can impersonate me or spoof me and use that to like fish my, donors or send out false information about me. And then the other thing is it helps you for every sending service that you use. So let's say I use Constant Contact. There are certain configurations that have to be done in order to comply with the way that you send email. This is a little complicated, and we're not going to go into great detail here, but let me just say DMARC and conforming with DMARC will help with your email deliverability. And that's obviously something everybody wants. You don't want to be marked as a spammer, and you want your emails to end up in the inboxes of um, your constituents and supporters. This here, valamail.com, try monitor free. This is a free DMARC service, which can help you get started. We have a more advanced service with more reporting and other kinds of tools in our for our eligible. But again, you're going to need DMARC and you might need help. So quickly here, just go through a couple of things. If you're just beginning to think about running for office, or even if you are already, you need to protect yourself and you need to use what's available first. So we talked about setting up a passkey on Gmail. We talked a little about turning on Google's Advanced Protection, which is a program designed specifically for high-risk users. It protects your inbox, it protects you in the store, and it does things so that they understand the signal to them is that you're a high risk user. So certain kinds of anomalous activities are going to get paid, much more closer attention to. I mentioned like using your Google or Microsoft or Apple login to log in across the web once you've secured yourself. In a minute, Betty's going to show you about the Chrome Password Manager and also about security and privacy checkup. These are tools that are free to every user on your personal account, on a workspace account. They're all there. There are two other things that I think are really critical to know about. One is results about you, which you can go turn this on, and Google will search the web for certain kinds of information, your home address, your telephone number, certain kinds of photos and images. There's a whole framework around this, and you can ask them for them to delete it from search, and they will. This is huge, especially for people running for office and thinking about running office. Maybe you've been doing other things and there's a lot of information about you out there and you want to like trim that down a little bit when you decide to run for office. And the other is dark web monitoring. You've probably seen the ads on TV, Norton dark web monitoring. We're going to find out what's about you. Well, Google gives that for free, but only on Gmail accounts, not on workspace accounts yet. But here's a little results on a dark web monitoring I put on my email. And you can see that it found my name was in 4 data breaches. My date of birth, fortunately, wasn't. My address was in 3 data breaches. My phone number was in 7 data breaches. These are files on the dark web from data breach, and it tells you which data breach they were lost in my email. I mean, my email is public. So hard to know that it was lost. But nonetheless, I mean, it was in somebody's data that was stolen. So that's what they know. So these are great tools, and they're free and they're really easy to sign up for. And again, we'll show you in a second where to get this information. And now I'm going to pass it over back to Betty, who's going to just give you a little tour of some of these things.
Thanks, Michael. Yes, I am going to start with showing you a little bit about Google Chrome's built-in password manager. So the password manager is already built into your browser. Sometimes you have to turn it on, but generally it's already popping up and auto-saving things for you. So you should all see my screen right now. So I'll show you an example of if I already have a password saved, what it's going to look like. It will auto save the password when you go to create an account. That kind of takes a little bit longer, so I can't demo it. But for example, this is an account that I've already created that I have this password saved. All I do is click within the credentials and it will auto populate in here. I'm going to use my pass key, and then you can see this password. This is a long, strong password that fits the qualifications and also fits the what we think to be the security standards of how a password should be. So Google Chrome will suggest a password like this when you go to create the account. That way you don't have to think about it or memorize it because it will autosave for you. And so that's one of the conveniences of a password manager. I am going to show you now how to put the password manager in your toolbar so that you can access it quickly and easily. So you can go to this ellipsis on the top right. I need to update my browser. Make sure to update your browsers. I am going to scroll down to where it says more tools. And by the way, we have a series of videos and articles on all of this, so you don't have to memorize this. We can send them to you and give you access to them. So I'll click more tools, customize Chrome, and then toolbar. And then as you can see, Google Password Manager. So I am going to toggle that on. And if you look in the top, you'll see hopefully this is big enough for you to see, but there's a key icon. So you can see as I toggle it on and off, it'll come and go. But I've just turned that on. That is not something that's necessary in order to use the password manager, but it just makes it easier to access it. So right from there, I can click on that and click Manage Passwords, and I'll be able to see all of my passwords right here, as well as delete them, update them, anything else I want to do. Again, it does auto save them, so you don't have to come in here much, but makes it more convenient. And then something else that's great is this check passwords feature. So just as it says, it'll look at your passwords and it'll tell you if any of them are compromised, if any of them are being reused, which we don't want, and whether they're all long and strong enough. So it's great to just periodically go in here and check your passwords. So speaking of checkups, there's a few more that we can do. So I'm just going to start back on that Google screen, and I'm going to show you a security checkup and a privacy checkup. So I'm going to go over to this little Google Apps grid icon. I'm going to click Account, and then I'm going to click Security. And then I'm already rolled in Advanced Protection Program. Great. Um, it's telling me you have security recommendations. So this is your security checkup. It's generally going to be the first thing you see right there. So you click protect your account and it'll give you some security recommendations. So if I didn't have advanced protection on, it would tell me to do that. Or if I didn't have a passkey, it would tell me to do that. But I set those things up already. Add a recovery email. You can do it right from here. Again, super important because you don't want to get locked out. I mean, you can still find ways to get in uh, by contacting Google, but it's best to not have to do that. And then just a few other things. You can see which devices you're signed in on. Make sure that, you're familiar with all of them. You're not signed in on some like random library somewhere. Um, and activity, advanced protection, adding a passkey. Just make sure you recognize the activity that's happening. And I believe this is, yeah, this is your password checkup. So you can also get to it right from there. So that's your security checkup. And then I'm going to go right back to my account settings and go to data and privacy. And this is just one more checkup you can do. So again, it's that first option right there. Take privacy checkup. And you can see it lets you review your web and app activity settings. So it's going to let you see what is being saved as well as your YouTube history settings. And then you can also personalize or choose to personalize your ads. So there's a couple different ways in terms of how your data is being saved. Like maybe you don't want your activity to be saved, like your Chrome history, etc. So just a few checkups that are very easy to perform that we suggest doing periodically. So back to you, Michael.
Michael, we need to unmute again.
Me and Michael are really good at cybersecurity, but really bad at Zoom.
Yeah. I was going to say we talked a lot about Google because most people, many Google users out there. Google and Microsoft both support us as an organization, but we know a lot of campaigns run on Workspace, so we want to make sure you understand those tools. But Microsoft has great tools too. They have passkeys. You can add a passkey to your Microsoft account. So that's you can protect your account just with the strongest authentication possible with them. The Edge password manager works almost like 100% like Betty just demonstrated on the Chrome password manager. These are very strong, robust password managers. They're encrypted. They're great. Firefox has one too. They're all fine. You should be using them. They have a little activity review so you can see who attempts to log into your account and some other things. And Account Guard is their form of advanced protection. You have to apply for it. It's available sort of on the enterprise, on the network level, but it can protect a lot of things, including Hotmail addresses and other kinds of things with extra protection. So if you're a Microsoft user, there are definitely options to, increase your security on a PC, laptop, and or if you're using their products in another environment. And here's just a website for you. So we have this defendcampaigns.org, excuse me, protect yourself. Everything we talked about with these Google products and these Microsoft products are available there with direct links about how to do them. So direct link to setting up a passkey, turning on APP, those kinds of things. And then, so we're really close to the end here. And if anybody has questions, we're getting all set up. I see maybe we do have one. So Betty's, implied that we have all this information for you, and she was telling you the truth. We have a knowledge base that at defendcampaign.org/resources, which is a help desk for the political sector on security. Everything we've talked about here today is in there. We have videos, we have how-tos. You want to learn how to set up an account so you can get the free Cloudflare. We have information about that. Some content we develop, sometimes we're just directing you quickly to the right content. Because, if you go and search for something, you can get 9,000 results about how to do something. And like, how do I know which one is the most recent? So we've done the work for you. And we just try to make it a really robust resource for you. Uh, and we're ready for some questions. Here's my email address. Here's Betty's email address. Here's our info. You're more than welcome to email us at any time. We're always happy to figure stuff out with you all.
Michael, there's one question in the chat. I don't know if you can see it. I started to answer it, but you might be
Uh,
better suited.
where's the question?
Maybe did I make it go away? Well, I'll ask it. You want me to just
Okay,
ask? Okay.
sure.
So there's a couple parts to it. It says, should we consider biopasskeys secure? Would an RFID physical passkey be a good idea? Do you help campaigns if they are responding to a breach, or don't or didn't take the right steps and now need to clean up? What advice do you have for evaluating vendors or partners for assessing their security before deciding to trust with sensitive data?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. Um, in terms of the, the authentication question, I don't know exactly what you mean by bio. There are like a Yubico has a bio chip. There are some other chips that do that. I think they're okay. I mean, I think, just using a passkey as generated by a service provider is great. A physical passkey, a physical security key is also great. There are, if anything that requires, you to have something or to be something is going to give you better security than any other form of security. So generally speaking, that's okay. I know if you, it sounds like someone might work in an enterprise somewhere that might require some of these other kinds of authentications. And there are many kind of authentication schemes out there, and that's fine and that's great. We just try to talk about the ones that are like readily available for everyone on the planet all the time. Um, yeah, if you're having a breach, I mean, we don't do incident response, but we might be able to provide some advice around some of that, or get you some help, or direct you to some folks. We can occasionally escalate inside a company for some of these kinds of things. We do work with these companies very closely, and so there may be a way that we can provide you, a way to contact the company that might not be generally available to the public. So yeah, you can reach out to us. In terms of cleanup, yeah, I mean, we're always willing to help people clean up. I mean, we're here today, we're talking to you. We talk to campaigns that aren't eligible for our free stuff all the time. We want people to learn. We want people to adopt security early on in their political careers and make a part of their campaigns from day one going forward. So maybe you're running for town council now, and 20 years from now, you're running for president. We want you to have security be top of mind for every campaign that you run. Um, and vendor evaluation, this is a really great question. So in cybersecurity, we call this third party risk, right? This is, you all remember probably that, maybe no, everybody does, but remember when Target got breached, like 10 years ago or 12 years ago, maybe longer now, and it was their HVAC vendor that got attacked. And then through the HVAC vendor, they got to the point of service system, basically the credit card swiping, device in the stores, right? And they stole all the credit cards off of that system. So that is a risk. It is very hard to determine the cybersecurity practices of your vendors. So you're going to have to kind of ask. And if you're really concerned, you're going to have to ask them, what are they doing? What would they do if they do they have a cyber incident response plan if they got breached, right? Because they may have your data, and that's the data that they might lose. Like if you give your data, let's say on your donors to someone else and they lose it, right? That's not only their breach, but that's your breach of trust. So you want to understand that. So you can ask them about that. You can look at like what forms of authentication do they allow? Do they have strong multi-factor authentication that they allow to you as a customer? And or could you use that Microsoft, Apple, or Google sign-on where you're bringing your strong authentication to them? So you just want to see, what their attitude is. Unfortunately, in this space, you have a lot of smaller consultants. You have people that are running, two-person consultant shops off personal Gmails. You have small startup political tech firms that are, may not be as sophisticated, may not be as big, may not have be as resourced as a long-term enterprise. So you're just going to have to inquire. I know that there are some groups working on this. We've been promoting third-party risk reduction and third-party security. So, we think it's really, really important in this space. But it's a sales job. I'll just be honest about it.
It looks like we've got another question. How does your team feel about Proton.me services? Any take on that tool and set of tools in particular?
I'm not really an expert on Proton. I mean, we don't promote or, we're kind of agnostic on those. I mean, I'm not sure what your experience has been with them. we tend to see that people mostly using these traditional tools like Google and Microsoft and Apple products or, on those platforms. So it's really hard for me to say. I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
I have another question for you, which is a little bit about how to accomplish all the great steps you just outlined. How can campaign leaders build a culture of digital security without scaring everybody or slowing down the work? Campaigns are really time limited.
Yeah, that is what separates campaigns from the rest of the world is that you have a deadline certain, right? And in security, that's actually problematic too, because most, companies build security over time, right? They have a maturity model that they're working toward, and they're going to be around for the next 5 years. And so they're like, we're going to build our security program over 5 years. So a couple things. First of all, you have an advantage over some other places, right? Because you're running for office as a candidate. The people that come and work with you or for you or volunteer with you believe in you. They believe in what you're doing. They believe in your how you're going to govern. They believe in the policies that you are going to try and put in place. And they should be aware that a cyber incident could impact that, right? And that part of being more secure is part of helping them achieve what you're going to achieve. So take advantage of that leadership position. Tell people that they need to do some of these security steps. As you can see, like some of this, I mean, the website, if you have individuals working for a campaign, what they need to have is being using a passkey, right, on their accounts. That's where they should start. And that's not that complicated. Betty just showed you how to turn on Google's advanced protection program. It takes 5 minutes. So it's not huge. Get everybody in the conference room, walk them through it until they get it. And we're happy to do some of those calls with people. We've done onboarding, group onboardings for campaigns before, and just had them turn on like a passkey and get them. So buy them into the mission of what you're doing, get them to do some of these things. Make sure that if you are setting up a network like Workspace or maybe you're using Office 365, that it's configured for security. There's some things you can do under the hood to make sure that people are forced into MFA, that they are required to have longer passwords. There are some settings that can be required underneath the hood in the networks that you're using. We're not going into all that today, but we have some information about that and people can do that.
Great, thanks. Another question for you. How are campaign cybersecurity and privacy concerns evolving in the age of AI and deepfakes in particular?
Yeah. So, great question. Um, First of all, it's really hard to predict what's going to be happening by August of 2025 in AI, right? All I can say is it's getting more robust and it's getting better at doing the bad things that it can do. At the same time, it's getting better at the good things, right? Because it's like almost like two sides of the same coin. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned. I mean, you may have seen recently that you probably heard about the Marco Rubio faked voicemails and signal messages, right? We didn't, that was everybody thought was going to happen in 2024 and it didn't, but I think it is going to happen. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fake imagery. I'm concerned about the quality of that imagery and how it's going to be put out there. So I think, for DDC eligible candidates, we actually have a product called Doppel, which actually scans social media for impersonated content and fake accounts and takes them down or asks them to be taken down, helps take them down. So that's not going to be everybody here. I think you have to go in and one, lock down as much of your own personal information as you can. So we have another product which is actually pretty inexpensive. People could look at called Block Party. We obviously, if you're eligible, we can give it a free. Actually, every account you go into, it reviews your security settings, it reviews your privacy settings, and it says, hey, like a lot of us might have set up Facebook 10 years ago and forget that we put our phone number in there or our birth date or whatever, right? And it's like, hey, you might want to take all this stuff down. And then it recommends also higher security settings than you have. So there are tools like that out there. That's not the only one. That's just one that we know that we work with. So cleaning up your online presence before you run for office, cleaning up your LinkedIn, deleting old posts from Facebook that might have too much personal information or Instagram or any other social media that you use, doing like some cleanup around that would be really important. Using like Google's results about you to see what's out there to make sure that those kinds of things are out there. It'll alert you too sometimes when new stuff comes on. You're just gonna have to be more vigilant, and really, kind of try to lower your footprint a little bit if you can online.
There are 500,000 elected positions in the United States, and very few of them are the high profile statewide or federal seats that we hear about on the news so much. So I'm curious, are state and local level candidates also at risk for cyber attacks? And if so, what's your favorite low cost tool that a security amateur could use on a small campaign?
Yeah. I think that there's a couple of reasons that the risk is not significantly different from the federal all the way down to a local race. One of those starts out is because there's a lot of interconnectivity, right? So if you're running, maybe you're connected to your local party, you're connected to your like county party, but your county party is connected to the state party is connected to the, to the national committee, right? Like, this is a network, right? A network of organizations that are affiliated in loosely or firmly, right? And the bad actors understand that. So maybe I go after Michael's town council race to get to the governor's race in the state, right? I might go after Michael's family to get to Michael's campaign, right? I mean, that's the way this stuff works. So you've got to understand that. Plus, and this goes back to kind of that hacktivist piece, maybe a nation state isn't going to come after you, but you might be local politics is very contentious these days. Not a big surprise to any of you, right? So, where you have these heated, campaigns, where the issues are deep set, where people are, staked out, that raises cyber risk, right? As does balance of power. So even in a town council, for example, or a state ledge, right, where, three or four campaigns might determine like who's in power and who's not, that raises the cyber risk substantially, right? So cyber risk and political risk can be combined, and you can look at that. So the risk is apparent. My favorite tools really are some of the ones we talked about here, right? Lock down your logins, lock down those core accounts, your Microsoft accounts, your Google accounts. These are not just your email anymore, right? They are all your docs, all your contacts, right? Everything that people have shared with you, which could be other kinds of things, right, are all in these accounts now. So keeping people out of those accounts is the number one thing you have to do. And look, I've been doing cybersecurity education awareness since 2008. You may think what Betty just described to you was a few layers that seem like a lot. It is so much better than it was back then. I can't even tell you. First of all, the fact that there are tools that actually protect you are so much better. And so we're not here telling you how to create and remember in your head a long password, right? We're telling you get a passkey, turn it on, get your account protected, and that'll be good. So that's one of my favorite tools. Really are, and I'm a huge believer in using the stuff that's free. I think one of the things that one of the reasons we do kind of this kind of training is that people and don't take advantage of the tools in the products they're already using. Microsoft too. Microsoft has passkeys. Microsoft, has Windows Hello. If you have a certain kind of PC, you can turn on Windows Hello, which is a facial scan to get you into your Microsoft account. And that's using the same technology that's in a security key or a passkey to let you into your account. It's just that's part of, we didn't talk about this, but underneath the passkey is this industry standards that are used and that are interoperable between all these companies so that they're using the same standard, high standard of security, and you can roll it out in different ways. Windows Hello is kind of the same technology as a passkey or a security key. But you don't know that, right? But that's the way it works.
Great. We got another question from someone in the audience today. You mentioned eligibility a couple of times.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on what would make someone eligible to get access to more of the services that you all provide?
Yeah. So if you're a federal candidate and you're running for the House, you have to have raised $50,000. If you're running for Senate, you have to raise $100,000 to be eligible for us. So that's not a huge lift for those races, and it's assumed that most or be on the ballot. If you're a third party candidate and you're on the ballot at, the general ballot, you're on anybody on the general ballot is automatically eligible no matter how much money they've raised. In the states, there's some slight differentiations. We have at our campaigns, defendcampaigns.org, there's about campaigns in every state. We have the eligibility requirements and a link to the state advisory opinion so you can just read it. But it's generally like 2000 and the reason there's a monetary eligibility is because I think the FEC said was like, they just want campaigns to be legitimate. That was their determination. We didn't make that recommendation, but the states have picked that up a little bit. It's like 2000 for a local race and maybe up to 5,000 or 7,000 in some places for like a governor's race. So not a huge hurdle. However, Michigan has zero eligibility. If you're running, you're eligible. So they felt that any amount of money that discriminated against other people, so be it. We're happy with that. We're fine with that. Michigan, Georgia, Virginia, and Ohio. Those are the four states. We're going to try to work on some more, but just little, we got federal covers federal, right? But every state has their own regulator on campaign finance. So we have to go to every single state. We have to make the argument about what we do, why what we do is legal in their state under their state campaign finance law. So that requires lawyers, right? Back and forth negotiations, and every state has a different process. Georgia has an election commission. They reviewed the request and approved it. In Ohio, it was the Secretary of State. In Virginia, it was the Secretary of State. In Michigan, I believe, it was the Secretary of State. So there was an ethics officer who read the opinion and said, yeah, we think you can do this here. That's not a problem. But that's what you have to do. And so that all takes time and money. So it's a slow rollout.
Great. My last question for you is we're about to wrap up the call. Folks are going to hang up. What's the first thing you want them to do?
I want them to go and search Google's Advanced Protection Program and do just what Betty showed you. And we can send you a video to help you do it, but it's really easy to do and you should do it, as dessert.
Great. I love it. And we will send this recording out as well to everyone who registered for today's call. So that's another place where you can get the live replay of Betty pressing those buttons so you can follow along and do it right after this. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you sharing such important information with our servant leader community. Folks who've joined, please give us your feedback. We want to hear what you thought of today's session, and a couple other reminders headed your way. Like I said at the top of the call, answering the call applications are going to open on September 2nd, and we love when alumni of the program nominate future folks to join the program. So be on the lookout for that. Foundations applications are also going to open this fall. So if you are thinking about running yourself down the line, that's the next program for you that we offer. And we also have our finance director training coming available. Applications will also open September 2nd. So a lot opening in the fall. We're on the lookout for your nominations and also for your applications to future programs and more opportunities to learn how to take the next step on your service journey into politics. And let us know what topics you want to see covered at the next Lunch and Learn. This really came out of alumni coming to us and saying, we need more help with security and we want answers to how to do this better. And so we're feeling really fortunate that Michael and Betty were able to join us and share their expertise today with each of you based on your demands. So please, another extra thank you to Michael and Betty, and round of applause. We really appreciate you joining, sharing your expertise, and really meeting a need in our community to get the tools and the skills to feel more confident to run for office down the line and continue that service journey in a way that is safe, protected, and secured.
Well, thank you for having us. We love doing this. We're more than willing to come back in the future if you want to do it again or address new issues that might be arising or specific things. So please, feel free to reach out. We love working with groups like this. We really are. This is our mission, is to make sure that people in this space are safe and secure. So anything we can do to help, we're here.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care, y'all.